All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today, we're tackling crowdsourcing,
Okay.
but with a bit of a twist, right? We're zeroing in on what's hot in government crowdsourcing this year.
Right, like
I'm
to
more,
2024.
yeah, the trends, the in and out.
Exactly. And lucky for us, we've got IdeaScale's white paper as our guide.
Yeah.
They're the pros when it comes to crowdsourcing platforms, so
Damn the expert.
we're in good hands for sure. Get ready for some seriously cool trends. We'll be talking about how AI is shaking things up and why, let's face it, Google Sheets just doesn't cut it anymore.
It's really amazing to see how government agencies are really starting to embrace crowdsourcing, you know? It's not just a buzzword anymore.
Right.
It's actually becoming a really powerful tool to connect with citizens
Mm,
and drive real change.
absolutely. So let's dive right into IdeaScale's breakdown of what's in and what's out.
Okay.
Let's start with the positive, right? What are some of the hottest trends we're seeing in government crowdsourcing right now?
Well, gamification is huge right now. I mean,
Right.
think about it. Yeah.
Everyone loves a little recognition.
Right.
Agencies are using these game-like elements like kudos and leaderboards to get people more engaged
Yeah.
and make participation more rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of taps into that natural desire we all have for a little friendly competition, you know?
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. And there's something to be said about
Yeah.
seeing those successfully implemented ideas.
Yes.
I was reading about how that actually motivates people even more
Absolutely.
to participate because it creates a sense of transparency.
Transparency.
And it shows that their input actually matters.
Exactly. It shows that you're listening, and IdeaScale,
Yeah.
they seem to really get that.
Yeah.
They've built these gamification features right into their platform, you know?
Oh, wow.
They're prioritizing that positive user experience.
Yeah.
It's not just about collecting ideas,
Right.
but creating an environment where those ideas can actually thrive
Yeah.
and potentially lead to real change.
That's fantastic. So gamification's definitely in it. What else is trending? I've been hearing a lot of buzz about AI.
AI is another game changer. I mean, imagine being able to just sift through
Thousands.
thousands of ideas
Right.
and instantly identify the most promising ones.
Yeah.
AI can do that, saving agencies so much time and resources.
That's incredible. It's not just about sorting through ideas either, right? I was reading that AI can actually help analyze citizen feedback to actually shape better policies.
Absolutely. AI can help connect the dots between citizen input and the decisions that are being made.
Right.
It can make the whole process much more responsive and effective.
So it's like streamlining the process.
Yeah, streamlining, definitely.
Making it more, effective and really responding to what people are saying.
It is, but it's important to proceed with caution.
Yes, yeah.
Data privacy is
Yeah.
a huge concern with AI, you know?
Yeah.
And IdeaScale really emphasizes that responsible AI use in their white paper, highlighting the need for transparency and careful data management.
Mm-hmm.
It's about using AI for good
Right.
while also protecting people's privacy.
And making sure that it doesn't have those, unintended consequences.
Exactly.
So AI has amazing potential for government crowdsourcing,
It does.
but it's crucial to use it ethically and responsibly.
Absolutely. Very important.
Absolutely. Okay, what else is on our list of in trends?
We're seeing a shift towards more community involvement
Okay.
in policy creation.
Mm-hmm.
It's about moving away from that old top-down approach
Right.
and creating a more open and collaborative process.
I like that. It's not just about collecting ideas, it's about giving communities a real voice
Yes,
in shaping the policies that affect their lives.
exactly. It's about building trust
Yeah.
and making sure those policies actually represent the people they're supposed to serve.
Mm.
And it's happening on a local level too, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Think about your own community.
Okay.
How does your local government get input from residents?
That's a good question.
Are they using crowdsourcing to shape their policies?
Yeah, I'm going to have to start paying more attention to that.
It's definitely something to consider.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, one more in trend before we move on.
Okay.
The white paper mentions collaboration ecosystems.
Yes.
What exactly does that mean?
It's all about breaking down those silos and fostering a culture of collaboration.
Okay.
Instead of working in isolation,
Right.
agencies are starting to connect, share their best practices, and tackle challenges together.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it like a network of innovators,
Okay.
all working towards a common goal.
So it's like teamwork.
Yes, teamwork on a grand scale.
On a grand scale. I like it.
And there are real-world examples of this, like the Federal Transit Administration.
Oh, okay.
They used crowdsourcing to get ideas from actual riders on how to improve public transportation.
Interesting.
They wanted to make it safer, cleaner, more equitable, all based on input from the people who actually use it every day.
Yeah.
It's about tapping into that collective wisdom
Right.
of the crowd.
That's a fantastic example of how collaboration ecosystems can work
It is.
in practice.
It is.
It sounds like IdeaScale is really a big advocate for this approach.
They are. They're actually building their own innovation ecosystem,
Oh.
connecting government agencies with industry experts and thought leaders to share knowledge and drive progress in crowdsourcing.
Wow. So they're really putting their money where their mouth is.
They are. They are.
Yeah.
It's about creating a space where everyone can contribute and learn from each other.
It's really inspiring to see how all these in-trends are shaping the future of government crowdsourcing.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious about the flip side.
Okay.
What about those practices that are becoming outdated?
Right.
What's on the out list for 2024?
Well, one of the first things that comes to mind is siloed approaches.
Oh, so it's the opposite of what
Yeah.
we were just talking about
Exactly.
with the collaboration ecosystem.
Exactly. Remember we were just talking about collaboration ecosystems.
Yeah.
Siloed approaches are the exact opposite.
So instead of working together,
Yeah.
everyone's kind of doing their own thing.
Everyone's on their own little island,
Right,
not realizing they could achieve so much more by working together.
right, right.
The white paper emphasizes the need to move away from this fragmented approach and embrace a more interconnected model
Okay.
where everyone's working together towards those shared goals.
It makes a lot of sense.
It does.
It's about breaking down those barriers and realizing that we're all in this together.
We are.
Okay, what else is on that out list?
Another trend that's fading fast is passive engagement.
I think I can guess where this is going.
Yeah.
It's about moving beyond simply asking for feedback and then doing nothing with it.
You got it.
Right.
It's about creating a truly participatory environment
Yeah.
where people feel like their contributions are valued and acted upon.
Right.
Think about a time when you shared a great idea
Oh, yeah.
and it just disappeared into a black hole.
The worst.
Frustrating, right?
Yeah.
Agencies are realizing they need to move beyond this passive approach and actively engage with citizens,
Right.
incorporate that feedback into their decision-making.
It's about showing people that their voices are actually being heard,
Yes,
that their ideas can make a difference.
exactly.
What else is on the out list?
Let's see.
The white paper mentions something about collecting ideas but not following up.
Oh, that's a big one. A lot of organizations struggle with this, you know?
Really?
They might have these great systems for gathering ideas,
Right.
but then they fall short when it comes to actually putting them into practice.
So it's not enough to just collect the ideas.
No, not at all.
You need to have a plan for what to do with them.
Yes.
How do you bridge that gap between ideation and implementation?
That's where innovation workflow funnels come in.
Okay.
These are systems that track ideas from the moment they're submitted
Wow.
all the way through to implementation.
So it's about building a system where those ideas can actually, flourish and lead to real change.
Flourish and lead to real change. Exactly.
Yeah.
Think about it. Remember that time you shared that great idea and it went nowhere?
Yeah.
These funnels aim to prevent that,
Okay.
keeping those contributors in the loop and showing them that their input is valued.
Oh, that's good. I've definitely felt that frustration before, like my ideas were just falling on deaf ears.
Yeah.
This seems much more promising.
Much more promising.
Okay, what's the last thing on the out list?
Okay, this one might make you chuckle. Static platforms.
Oh, I think I know what you mean, like using Google Sheets for crowdsourcing. I mean, it worked back in the day,
It did.
but I guess it's not really cutting it anymore.
Not really, no. The world of crowdsourcing has evolved.
Yeah.
Agencies need platforms that are more dynamic and flexible. They need tools that can adapt to the ever-changing needs of civic engagement.
It's like trying to run a marathon in flip-flops. You might be able to start, but you're not going to get very far.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
need the right tools for the job.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have...
We've talked about what's in, what's out, but I'm really curious to see how these trends are playing out in the real world.
Me too.
So stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive into government crowdsourcing,
Right.
where we'll explore some real-world examples of how these trends are making an impact.
Sounds good.
Welcome back. I'm excited to hear about these real-world examples of government crowdsourcing in action. Let's see how those in and out trends we talked about actually play out in the field.
Well, one story that really highlights this evolution of crowdsourcing involves the U.S. Coast Guard.
Okay.
Back in 2015, they were using a simple Excel spreadsheet
Oh, wow.
to manage ideas across the entire agency.
Wow, talk about old school. That must have been a logistical nightmare.
It was.
Especially for an organization as large and complex as the Coast Guard.
You're telling me They quickly realized they needed a more sophisticated solution,
Right.
and that's when they turned to idea scale.
So they ditched the spreadsheet for a dedicated crowdsourcing platform.
Exactly.
What kind of impact did that have?
The results were pretty amazing. They saw a huge surge in participation,
Okay.
with over 15,000 users joining their idea scale community.
Wow.
But it's not just about the numbers.
Right.
It's about the impact those ideas had.
Give us an example. What kind of problems did they solve using crowdsourcing?
Well, one powerful example comes from 2017,
Okay.
one of the worst hurricane seasons on record.
Right.
The Coast Guard was facing a major challenge:
Okay.
how to quickly and effectively
Hmm.
share lessons learned from hurricane response efforts.
Mm-hmm.
Their old methods, relying on emails, text messages, even pen and paper,
Oh, wow.
were slow and inefficient.
That sounds incredibly chaotic.
Yeah, it was a mess.
It's hard enough to coordinate during a crisis, let alone relying on outdated technology.
So they decided to launch a Hurricane Lessons Learned campaign
Okay.
through their Idea Scale platform.
Interesting.
This allowed Coast Guard members from all over
Mm.
to share their insights and best practices
Okay.
in a central location.
That's brilliant. Suddenly, everyone had access to this wealth of valuable information
Exactly.
that could potentially save lives.
The campaign was so successful,
Yeah.
they actually made it an annual event.
Really?
Every year on June 1st,
Wow.
they launch a new Hurricane Lessons Learned Challenge.
That's amazing.
It's become an essential part of their disaster preparedness strategy.
It's incredible how something as simple as switching to a dedicated crowdsourcing platform can have such a huge impact.
It really does.
It shows the power of having the right tools and systems in place.
It does. And this example perfectly illustrates many of those trends we discussed earlier.
Right.
Collaboration, active engagement, a dynamic platform.
Mm-hmm.
The Coast Guard moved away from those siloed approaches,
Right.
embraced active engagement, and found a platform that facilitated effective communication and knowledge sharing.
It's like a case study in how to do crowdsourcing, right?
It is.
But let's flip the script for a moment.
Yep.
We've talked about success stories. But are there examples of organizations learning the hard way?
Unfortunately, yes.
Clinging to those out trends like siloed approaches and passive engagement?
Many organizations struggle to adapt to this evolving world of crowdsourcing.
Yeah.
They might launch initiatives with good intentions,
Right.
but fall short on execution.
Can you give us an example of what that might look like?
Sure.
Like a real-world example of how these outdated practices can actually backfire.
Imagine a government agency wants public input on a new policy.
Okay.
They set up a fancy website,
Okay.
send out press releases, maybe even hold a town hall or two.
Right.
But after all that effort,
Yeah.
they simply collect the feedback
Oh.
and file it away.
No.
No updates, no communication, no indication of how that input's being used.
Oof, I can already feel the frustration brewing.
It is.
It's like shouting into a void. You put in all this effort to share your thoughts and ideas, and then nothing.
Exactly. It sends a
Yeah.
very clear message.
Yeah.
Your input doesn't matter. And that's a surefire way to kill engagement and erode trust.
Yeah.
People are much less likely to participate in the future if they feel like their voices aren't being heard.
It's almost like a betrayal of trust.
It is.
It's not enough to just ask for the input.
Yeah.
You have to close the loop.
Yes.
Show people how their contributions are actually making a difference.
And that's where those innovation workflow funnels we talked about
Mhm.
become so important.
Yeah.
You need that transparency,
Right.
clear communication to demonstrate that those ideas are being taken seriously,
Yeah.
that they're actually part of a larger process of change.
Absolutely. These real-world examples are really eye-opening.
They are.
We've seen the transformative power of crowdsourcing when it's done right,
Mm.
and the potential pitfalls when those outdated practices linger.
That's a great way to sum it up.
Yeah.
Crowdsourcing isn't a magic bullet.
Right.
It's a process.
Yeah.
It takes planning, the right tools, and a culture that embraces collaboration and innovation.
Absolutely. And you need to actively nurture that community and adapt your approach as you go. It's like tending a garden.
It is.
You can't just plant the seeds and walk away.
You got to water those plants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to water them, fertilize them, weed out the problems, help them grow and flourish. It's an ongoing process of learning, adapting, and evolving.
Absolutely.
Okay, these analogies are really helping to understand this.
Let's
What's
see.
next on the agenda?
Well, we've explored the present.
Okay.
Now it's time to look towards the future.
Ooh, I like it.
In the final part of our deep dive, we'll gaze into our crystal ball and explore emerging trends
Okay.
and potential disruptions that could reshape the landscape of crowdsourcing in the years to come.
All right, we're back for the final part of our deep dive into government crowdsourcing, and this time we're taking a peek into the future.
So the future?
Fasten your seatbelts because things are about to get really interesting.
It's going to be exciting.
It is. So what's on the horizon? What are some of those emerging trends that could really shape the future of crowdsourcing, especially in the government sector?
Well, one trend that's gaining serious momentum is blockchain.
Blockchain, okay. That's the tech behind cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, right?
Right, like Bitcoin.
What does that have to do with crowdsourcing, though?
Well, it's a really versatile technology
Okay.
with tons of potential, and that includes crowdsourcing.
Okay.
Think of blockchain as like a way to create super secure systems.
Okay.
Transparent,
Yeah.
tamper-proof systems that can be used for tracking ideas, managing contributions, even rewarding participants, all with that added layer of security.
So it's like a digital vault.
Yeah, like a digital
For
vault.
outsourcing, right.
Mhm.
Keeping everything safe and accountable.
Exactly. Blockchain can address those concerns about data privacy, intellectual property protection, and fair compensation for people contributing.
That makes a lot of sense.
It adds a level of trust.
Yeah.
And transparency that is so valuable in crowdsourcing.
Absolutely. What else is on the horizon? What else is brewing?
Another trend to watch is citizen science.
Citizen science. I've never even heard of that.
Really?
Yeah, tell me more.
Well, it's all about empowering everyday people to participate in research,
Oh, wow.
scientific research and data collection.
Okay.
Government agencies are starting to realize the potential of this
Yeah.
vast pool of talent and enthusiasm out there.
Right.
And they're tapping into it to help solve some really complex problems.
So it's like crowdsourcing, but for science.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Imagine an agency launching a project asking citizens to help collect data on air quality
Oh, wow.
or track the spread of invasive species.
Okay, yeah.
They could even ask for help analyzing astronomical images.
That's really cool. So
Yeah.
you're turning everyone into a citizen scientist.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Citizens contribute to meaningful research, and agencies get valuable data and insights they wouldn't have otherwise.
Right.
It's a perfect example of how crowdsourcing can tackle those real-world challenges.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got blockchain for security and transparency, citizen science for tapping into that power of the crowd. Any other trends we should keep an eye on?
One more thing. I think we'll see a growing emphasis on hyperlocal crowdsourcing.
Hyperlocal crowdsourcing. Does that mean like within a specific neighborhood or community?
Exactly. It's about using crowdsourcing to address really specific,
Okay.
localized issues.
Okay.
So, for example, a city government could use crowdsourcing to get feedback on a proposed park renovation
Okay.
or to gather ideas for traffic calming measures.
Yeah.
They could even use it to organize neighborhood cleanup events.
I love that.
Yeah.
It makes crowdsourcing so much more relevant and engaging
It does.
when it's focused on things that directly impact people's daily lives.
Exactly. It allows agencies to be more responsive to the needs of their communities.
Right, because they're hearing it straight from the source.
Yeah, straight from the source.
So it's all about bringing crowdsourcing down to that grassroots level.
That grassroots level, exactly.
Okay, so we've got blockchain for security and transparency,
Right?
citizen science for tapping into the power of the crowd,
Yes.
and hyperlocal crowdsourcing for addressing those community-specific issues.
You got it.
It sounds like the future of crowdsourcing is pretty bright.
It is very exciting.
But are there any bumps in the road?
Wow.
Any challenges we should be aware of as we move forward?
Of course, one of the biggest challenges is going to be keeping up with technology.
Right.
The pace of innovation is relentless,
It is.
and crowdsourcing platforms are going to have to adapt to stay relevant.
Yeah.
That means embracing those new technologies,
Right.
integrating with other systems,
Right.
and making sure the user experience is smooth and intuitive.
So it's not just a set it and forget it kind of thing.
No, not at all.
These platforms need to be constantly evolving
Absolutely.
to stay ahead of the curve.
Yes, constantly evolving.
Another challenge, and we've kind of talked about this throughout our whole deep dive, is making sure that crowdsourcing is used ethically and responsibly.
That's a really crucial point.
Yeah.
As crowdsourcing becomes more sophisticated and integrated into our lives,
Right.
we need to be mindful of the potential downsides.
Yeah.
That means protecting data privacy, avoiding biases, and making sure that everyone has an equal opportunity to participate.
Absolutely. So it's not just about harnessing the power of the crowd. It's about doing it the right way.
The right way.
It's about using crowdsourcing as a force for good.
Well said.
It's about creating a more inclusive,
Yes.
transparent, and equitable world.
Mm-hmm.
One crowdsourced idea at a
One
time.
idea at a time.
I love that. Well, this deep dive into the world of government crowdsourcing has been incredibly eye-opening.
It has.
We explored the latest trends, examined real-world examples,
Yeah.
and even ventured into that uncharted territory of the future.
The future.
It's clear that crowdsourcing has the potential to completely revolutionize the way government agencies operate and engage with their citizens.
It really does.
Absolutely. And for those listening who want to learn more or even explore how they can get involved,
Yeah.
I highly recommend checking out IdeaScale.
Yes, great resource.
They're clearly leaders in this space, and their platform is a fantastic example of how crowdsourcing can be done right.
Couldn't agree more.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into government crowdsourcing.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, stay curious, keep exploring, and don't be afraid to share your ideas with the world.